Alright you lot, how's it going? I thought I've got a little bit of a story for you, and there's a moral behind the story as well, but we'll go with the story for now. So, recently I acquired an antenna. It was an Antron 99. Apparently it'd been up on a building for over 30 years. I know they've been making them for 30 or so years, I don't know the exact time. But anyway, that's the story with that. It's been over there for 30 years. It'd been on the roof of this big building on a pole. Now, the owner of it was long gone, so I found someone who knows and and he said, if you can get that down, you can have it, because it's going to be ripped down when they demolish the building in some time to come. So I said, alright then. So I set about getting this aerial down, getting this antenna down off of this roof, and I got it down. Now, this is a fiberglass antenna. Those of you that are familiar with Antrons and other antennas that are fiberglass, you get splinters. Over time the fiberglass starts to splinter off. When you buy them new, they're all nice and smooth, you know, all varnished and lacquered or whatever they put on them. You're not going to worry about getting splinters when they're new. But over time, specifically when they're up in the air, you know, the wind, the rain, the sun, heating them up and everything, you know, elements. There's quite a lot of moss on it as well. I mean, you lot would have seen it in a video. You would have seen, but I had it on the grass here. So, I was expecting it to be quite bad. So I put some gloves on, similar gloves to these. These are mechanics gloves. They're not particularly thick, but I was hoping that they would protect me, and they did for the most part. But I was being careful not to handle the antenna too much on the fiberglass. I was holding it on the metal joins where it screws in mainly. I still managed to get one or two splinters in the palm of my hands though. So I'd got this antenna down, I got it home, and there we, you know, I looked at it and I thought I wanted to use it for myself, and then I thought, you know what, I don't really need to, so I put it up for sale to see, because you don't get a lot of money for them, but I planned on using it when I originally wanted it. I thought I can use that, you know, I can clean that up and I can use that. I might take it out mobile or something, you know, get one of those poles that you drive over the plate, or make one and stick it on a pole, take it on top of the hill and something like that. But then when I got it down, and it was flaking quite badly on the top section, and I thought, nah, I don't need it. So I put it up for sale, and within about an hour of it being up for sale, someone messaged me and sent me a message, and he made me an offer. So I accepted the offer. Now he wanted it posted, but I said, you're only down the road, because he gave me his address. It's only down the road. I said, you can come collect it, or I'll deliver it to you myself, you know. There's no point in posting it just for that. So anyway, he said, I'll come and collect it. So he come down the next day, in the evening, to collect it, and I leant it up against the wall out the front, and he come down, and he was a bit of a cockney, you know, he was a bit of a Londoner, and he was telling me about, he had the old flat cap on, a bit like Derek Trotter from Only Fools and Horses, you know, he had a flat cap on, and he had Timberland boots on, a bit of a modern day one, you know, walking around like that, you know, alright, sort of thing. And he was going, oh yeah, I just got one of my radios down from the loft, or whatever he said. Got one down from the loft, and getting back into it, and the kids are, you know, they're interested in it and all that. And I had a silver rod out back in the day and had it in the car and all that, and it was buzzing. There was people all over the place, you know, and because it was illegal, the police were everywhere doing all the eyeballing and all that. So I was just, you know, when there's someone that's older than me, I give them massive respect, and when there's somebody who's got more knowledge and experience in whatever the field is that we're talking about, I give them huge respect. I look up to them in a massive way, because the experience and knowledge and age is, you know, you can't, if you're someone that's younger than a person that's got more experience and knowledge and is older than you, and you look down on them, you're an idiot, because you need to look up on them, unless they've proved themselves to be no good. So anyway, the minute he was telling me, and the minute he was older than me, obviously 50, 60 years old, plus the fact that he was telling me all these stories, oh, I was on the CB back in the 70s, 80s, I've done this, I've known that, you know, all this, instantly my respect for him went all the way up like that, and I was like, right. So I said, oh well, when it comes to, he was talking to me for a while, and when it come to the antenna, and you know, come time I was going to give him the aerial, go and put it in his car for him. I'd got my welding gauntlets here. I'm standing there on the driveway with my welding gauntlets, you know, nice and thick, thicker than these ones, because I didn't want any more splinters. So I've got these, and I'm putting them on like this, and he's looking at me funny. You know, I'm putting these big gloves on to handle this antenna, and he's looking at me a bit funny. So I said, I don't want any splinters. I said, I don't want any of them fiberglass splinters in my hand. They're, you know, they're permanent, they're painful as well. You'd be picking them out for weeks if you get them in your hand, wouldn't you? You know, because I'm thinking he knows all this, you know, because he's just telling me he knows everything about radio. He's been on it for years. I thought, well, I said, you don't need me to tell you anything about the antenna then, do you? He goes, nah. You know. So I'm went to put my left one on, and I grabbed the aerial like that, and then he, with his bare hand, he grabbed it like that. So I'm hoping he's grabbed it, and it's got 3 sections, the Antron, for those of you that don't know, and the top one was really badly flaky, and the other 2 were alright. Anyway, he grabbed it like that, so I was just like, alright, so I let go, and with that, see if I can get a, I'll use this broom as a demonstration. He's grabbed onto the aerial like that, right? All 3 sections though. Just all 3 sections in his hand like that. He's grabbed onto it. And he's got to walk off. At the moment he ain't got nothing in his hand. He's just got the aerial. And he's walked around and he went, ah, I'll have to pay you, won't I? I said, yeah, please, yeah. So he then had like that, but he let it slip like that down to the ground. Now you can imagine what this was like. You can imagine. Because the splinters, they were, you could see the hairs. I mean, I showed you in that other video when it was on the ground on the grass, right? They were facing down, right? The little hairs, the little splinters were all facing downwards. So he's like that, and the aerial has gone down. They've just done jabbed into all of his hand, all around there like that, right? And I see him all jab on, because I was looking, you know, because I was just like, this is going to be painful. And I see him all jab in and break off and flick off, and I was like, oh, I didn't want to get him in my eye. And he all jabbed in like that, and he's gone like that, he has. So I took it back off him. I still had my gloves on. I took it off of him, and I said, oh, I did tell you about the fiberglass flaking. I didn't want to tell you too much because I thought you'd know it all. And he's just going, oh, all right. Anyway, put it in his car, and I'm thinking to myself, in my head, I'm thinking, you ain't as clued up as you made out, are you? You ain't got a clue really, have you? You know, you turn up, the moral of this story is, you know, just because someone is younger than you, right, and doesn't have as much experience in whatever field it is that you're talking about, in this case radio, just because someone's younger than you and doesn't have as much experience, doesn't necessarily mean that they're thick and doesn't know anything. You should still listen and take advice, because obviously this bloke didn't really know what these antennas can be like when the fiberglass flakes and splinters. I mean, I got 1 or 2 of them in my, I mean, I've had fiberglass splinters before, dealing different type though, dealing with the insulation, you know, when I helped insulate, because me and my dad built that room, and also in the conservatory and up in the loft as well. You get the fiberglass insulation that you roll out, you know. I've had a few little splinters in there, but when I got that antenna down, I did get one in the palm of my hand and one in the tip of my finger, right? And very painful, because it's just like a little zapping, like you've got a needle. You know, like when you have a needle in your arm or wherever you might have needles. It's like that every time you move, right? Very painful, just having 1 or 2, and you've got to pick them out because they won't dissolve like a wooden splint. A wooden splint, if you get one from wood, yeah, if you leave it in there, it will dissolve and break down eventually. Usually you pick them out, but it's still painful in between. So, you know, I'm thinking to myself, you ain't got a bloody clue, have you, eh? You ain't got a clue. And then we put it in his car, and he was talking, and he was like, oh, I've never been involved in any of this ham radio before. Are you? I said, yeah, funnily enough, I am. He was talking about it and all that, and all the time we were talking for about 10-15 minutes afterwards, he's rubbing his hands and doing that as we're talking, because you could see him all around his hand. I'm thinking, oh dear, oh dearie me. So the moral, like I said, the moral is, you know, the way I look at things, if someone's older than me instantly I have respect up there like that, right? And then if we're in the field, so in the field of radio, for example, someone's older, even if they're younger than me, but they've still got more experience, there's no problem. The respect is up there. But specifically if someone's older, right, and then you find out that they've got more experience in the field of the subject that you're in, respect is all the way up there automatically. And then after time you get to know them and you find out they're actually stupid and lying about everything, then the respect goes down to a normal level for an ordinary person. But just because if you're one of these older people, that just because someone is younger than you, you respect and you don't listen to what, because you think, oh, I know everything. I know everything. Oh, I'm older than him, I know everything, there's no problem. That's when you come unstuck like this bloke did. Because that's only a small thing. You lot might be thinking, oh, he's only got a few little splinters, but I guarantee he would have been going home now and he would have been going, oh, I need to have been trying to pick them out. He probably still is, because there was a lot of them in his hand. So there you go, my friends, a little bit of a story. I had to tell it because it happens a lot. You know, it happens to me a lot because I'm young, and I tend to mix with people that are usually more than twice my age. And it happens a lot at work, because in the field of work that I'm in, people are older than me. It's the way it is. You don't get many young people come into the game that I'm in, work-wise. Same with radio, really. And it happens a lot at work, you know. People, they're older than me, they got more experience, so my respect level for them is right up there. But then when it comes to, we're asked to do something, and I see a way in my head of doing it, and I'm like, well, I'm doing it like that. And they automatically think, well, they dismiss it. And then that's when they get, you know, they go ahead and do it, and it all messes up and everything, or whatever. All gets messed up. And then they see that if it would have been done the way that I'd have seen it, it probably would have been alright. Because I watch older people, you know, and I learn. That's how you learn. But then you always get this one or two people that think, well, I'm older, I know everything. Young people, they know nothing, I'm going to ignore them completely. Happens everywhere. So I had to tell that little bit of a story for you, because I thought it was immensely funny. I nearly burst out laughing as well. It's so painful to watch him get that splinters around his hand. Painful to watch, but at the same time I just wanted to laugh. I just wanted to go, you cock. Why didn't you just let me, I had the gloves on, why did you look at me so strangely and then dismiss it the minute I was trying to help you out there, dude, you know? But there we go, bit of a story for you. I think it's funny, some of you might think it's harsh. I think it's funny, I think it's his own fault. Nice bloke, really nice bloke, but shouldn't have dismissed me in my young age, unfortunately, because he come off much worse. I've written it up in a story on the forum as well. Anyway, take care, you lot. Thanks for being here. You know, I wonder if you lot like me telling stories of it. Some of you on the other channel like the stories, but I don't have a lot of them. You know, maybe when I'm a bit older and I've got a bit more life to tell, perhaps there'll be more stories. Anyway, thanks for being here. Take care. I'll catch you on the next one, dudes.